The WNBA playoffs were supposed to showcase elite basketball, star power, and fair competition. Instead, fans walked away from the Indiana Fever versus Las Vegas Aces showdown with a sour taste in their mouths. The game wasn't remembered for dazzling plays or last-second heroics. It was remembered for whistles. A lot of whistles. Specifically, 26 free throw attempts for Aliyah Wilson, while Fever rookie sensation Aliyah Boston fought through foul trouble and inconsistent calls all night. After the loss, Boston didn't stay silent. In a post-game interview, she made a statement that quickly went viral, suggesting that the officiating wasn't just questionable, it was rigged. Her words lit a firestorm of debate across social media, sports talk shows, and among WNBA fans who have long accused referees of giving preferential treatment to certain teams and players. Was Boston simply venting after a tough loss? Or did she expose something much bigger about the integrity of the league? The Fever versus Aces showdown. The matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Las Vegas Aces was billed as a clash of rising stars versus established champions. Aliyah Boston, the young centerpiece of the Fever, faced off against Aliyah Wilson, the reigning MVP candidate and face of the Aces franchise. It was supposed to be a showcase of skill, hustle, and leadership. From the opening tip, the Fever played with energy, moving the ball well and attacking the paint. Boston held her own against Wilson early, scoring in the post and crashing the boards. For a while, it looked like Indiana might pull off an upset. But then came the whistles. Every time Wilson drove to the basket, it seemed like the referees were ready to blow the whistle. The Aces star kept finding her way to the line, while Boston found herself on the receiving end of fouls that limited her ability to stay aggressive. The game's rhythm became disjointed, with constant stoppages killing Indiana's momentum. The whistle war. Basketball is a game of runs, but in this contest, it became a game of whistles. Every possession seemed to end with a trip to the free throw line for Las Vegas. Fever players grew visibly frustrated, throwing up their hands in disbelief at calls that seemed soft, questionable, or outright incorrect. Aliyah Boston in particular bore the brunt of it. She picked up quick fouls trying to defend Wilson in the post, some of which looked like standard physical play in a playoff atmosphere. Each foul chipped away at her confidence and forced head coach Stephanie White to manage her minutes carefully. Instead of dominating in the paint, Boston was sidelined, watching Wilson rack up points from the charity stripe. Fans in the arena and those watching on TV couldn't ignore the disparity. Commentators even hesitated, raising eyebrows at the lopsided officiating but stopping short of outright criticism. Aliyah Boston speaks out. After the final buzzer, Aliyah Boston walked into the post-game press conference with the weight of the loss on her shoulders. But instead of sticking to the usual cliches about learning experiences and looking ahead, she went straight to the heart of the controversy. With a calm but firm tone, Boston addressed the officiating. "I don't know what game the refs were watching tonight," she said. "When one player gets 26 free throws and our entire team doesn't even come close, you have to ask yourself, was this about basketball or something else?" Aliyah Wilson's 26 free throws. To truly understand the controversy, we have to focus on that staggering number, 26 free throw attempts. In professional basketball, it's almost unheard of for a single player to shoot that many in one game, especially in the playoffs. Aliyah Wilson is undoubtedly a superstar. She's aggressive, skilled, and tough to guard. But even her most loyal fans struggled to defend the sheer volume of whistles that went her way. Many of the fouls called seemed soft, with minimal contact exaggerated into trips to the line. For the Fever, the disparity was crushing. While Wilson padded her stat line from the stripe, Indiana's offense stalled as Boston sat on the bench with foul trouble. The Fever were outscored heavily at the line, and the gap became the decisive factor in the outcome. Social media erupts. The moment Aliyah Boston's comments hit the internet, the basketball world exploded. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok were flooded with clips of the game, slow-motion replays of questionable calls, and passionate debates about whether the referees had rigged the outcome. Fans of the Fever cried foul, sharing memes of referees in Aces jerseys and posting screenshots of the free throw disparity. Even neutral fans, who had no rooting interest, admitted that the officiating looked lopsided. Hashtags like #RiggedRefs and #26 free throws started trending nationwide. Some users compiled highlight reels of Wilson's trips to the line, pointing out the minimal contact on many of the calls. Others resurfaced past controversies, arguing that this wasn't the first time the WNBA had been accused of favoring certain teams. The history of controversial officiating. Aliyah Boston's frustration isn't happening in a vacuum. Sports history is littered with controversial games where officiating played too big a role in the outcome. From the infamous 2002 NBA Western Conference Finals between the Lakers and Kings to questionable calls in NCAA tournaments, referees have long been accused of altering results. The WNBA is no different. Over the years, fans have pointed to games where star players seem to get more favorable treatment. Some argue it's a natural part of sports. Superstars earn the respect of referees. Others believe it's a systemic issue where league narratives and marketability influence how games are called. For the Fever, this wasn't just another tough whistle. It was part of a broader pattern that undermines confidence in fairness. Boston's decision to speak out resonates because it taps into a universal frustration. Nobody wants to feel like the outcome of a game is predetermined by the officials. Boston versus Wilson, more than a matchup. The controversy also highlights the personal battle between Aliyah Boston and Aliyah Wilson, two dominant post players representing different stages of greatness. Wilson, a seasoned MVP and face of the Aces, embodies the established superstar. Boston, the rookie phenom, represents the next wave of talent ready to challenge the league's hierarchy. But the whistle-heavy officiating disrupted the natural flow of this duel. Instead of showcasing their abilities, the game became a battle of free throws versus foul trouble. Fans were robbed of the chance to see Boston go toe-to-toe with Wilson without interference. Boston's comments weren't just about frustration, they were about preserving the integrity of rivalries that define the sport. For the WNBA to grow, fans need to believe that stars are competing on a level playing field. The league's response. Whenever officiating becomes the story, the league faces pressure to respond. In the aftermath of Boston's statement, the WNBA found itself in a difficult position. On one hand, protecting referees' credibility is essential. On the other, ignoring legitimate concerns risks alienating players and fans. Reports quickly circulated that the league office was reviewing the game. Behind closed doors, officials likely analyzed every call to determine if mistakes were made. Publicly, however, the league remained quiet, issuing only a vague statement about respecting the game and ensuring fairness. The possibility of fines for Boston also loomed. The WNBA has rules against publicly criticizing referees, but punishing her could backfire, painting the league as silencing players who raise valid concerns. Integrity in question. At its core, this controversy raises a fundamental question. Can fans trust the integrity of the WNBA? Sports thrive on competition, unpredictability, and the belief that games are decided by players, not referees. When that belief is shaken, the entire foundation of the league is at risk. For many fans, Boston's comments validated what they had suspected for years, that certain teams and stars get favorable treatment. When Aliyah Wilson's 26 free throws became the deciding factor, it reinforced the perception that outcomes can be influenced by forces beyond the player's control. If fans begin to see the league as rigged, attendance, ratings, and credibility all take a hit. The WNBA has worked tirelessly to grow its audience, attract sponsors, and showcase its talent. Controversies like this threaten to undo that progress. What comes next? The dust may have settled on the Fever Aces game, but the conversation it sparked is far from over. Aliyah Boston's words will continue to echo as the WNBA navigates its future. For Boston, this moment may define her early career. Speaking truth to power is never easy, but it shows her leadership and willingness to fight not just for herself, but for her team and the league. Fans will remember that courage, even if the league responds with punishment. For the Aces, Wilson's free throw controversy may linger as a blemish on their playoff run. Even if they advance, critics will question whether their success was earned fairly. For the WNBA as a whole, the challenge is clear. Prove that fairness and integrity come first. That means addressing officiating standards, ensuring transparency, and protecting the authenticity of competition.